Hi everyone, welcome back to class. Great to see you. And a good week. Thanks for the conferences. I've seen most of you. A few of you I have left Wednesday and Thursday. So this week we have a big agenda. Let me start my timer. I'll take a few minutes to go through. I want to remind you that Wednesday is Ash Wednesday and we begin our Lenten season for those of you who are faith-based students. For me, it's a big time of reflection as a Catholic, and we remember what Jesus endured as he goes to the desert for 40 days and fasts and prepares for the crucifixion. And then, of course, we celebrate the greatest day and the glorious day of his resurrection on Easter. So as we head into Lent, it's a really important time to reflect on our faith and our commitment to Christ. So just to keep that in mind. All right, so this week you're going to watch your video lecture, review Bix and Kelp's PowerPoint. I have a PowerPoint. I'll begin it with you. I just want to make sure that you're familiar with Bix and Kelp's. That's there. For homework, you'll read chapter 4 in the Freeman book and answer questions 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. No, 2, 1, 3, 4, 5. And you'll submit your questions here. Base them on your OPE, and one of them asked for standards, so just use the next generation standards, as I said before. You can just do a general search. We talked about that last week. Also, we'll begin our new book this week, our Selleck book, this one, Day by Day, here, Day by Day. And if you need to borrow my copy because you haven't gotten a copy, I'll put it in my mailbox. But if you borrow it, just make sure it comes back in a few days so someone else can borrow it. And there's notes and stuff in it, so I'll put that in there. You'll read chapter 1 and 2 because that really begins talking about our elementary classroom and really what our classroom physical space looks like. It's really great, easy read. I mean, it'll take you, I don't know, maybe an hour or so. So please read that. And in response to that, you're going to create a classroom map. And your classroom map, I really want you to really create what your classroom, your ideal classroom would look like. And she has one on page 4 when you look at the book. See what? There it is. And it shows, see, the students' desks, the art center, the computer center. After you read the first chapters, 1 and 2, really think about how you would structure your classroom, whether or not you would do pairs or fours of students where you'd put the computer center, the reading rug. I did give you a sample ESL class, so be sure to use that. I think there's 18 students. I gave their ELP D level, so you might want to consider, are you going to put same languages together, different languages, same proficiency levels? There's really no right or wrong, so have a little bit of fun with it. These assignments will not be due until Sunday, March 17th. The reason is next week I'll be in Atlanta, Georgia for the TESOL International Conference. I'm presenting. I see you all Monday for advising. No, do I see you Monday? No, I see you the Monday we get back for advising. So I'm posting all of this, but you'll see the due date says due Sunday 3/17. I'm not putting Monday because I'll need more time to look at them, so make sure you hit that. So you basically have almost 12 days to get this done. So you will do chapter 4 questions, create a map, the assignment's there. When you click it on, there's the assignment for the map. Have a little bit of fun with it. And you guys are tech savvy. I don't know how you save it, scan it, upload it, but have a little bit of fun with that. And then we'll be back on class on the week of March 18th, right after St. Patrick's Day. All right, so now moving on, I want to take a minute to look at our Bix and Kelp's PowerPoint. I'm going to put it here. How am I doing on time? Oh my gosh, hold on. Hold on. Oh, I still have 9 minutes. Great. Okay, so hold on. What I want to do here is talk a little bit about Bix and Kelp's. And this PowerPoint is up on your Moodle. But we're going to look at what context-rich versus context-reduced activities mean and why it's important in our EAL classroom. So I'll give you a couple examples. And I just want to make sure that you have a grasp of Bix and Kelp's. Okay, so let's look at this little activity here. And let's say, for example, that you're in China and you're in a Chinese class trying to get along here, and you have a teacher and it's all Chinese, and of course you come and you may not have Chinese. Now we have at least one student in class who speaks Chinese. So Vivian, I'm sorry, my Chinese is not great. You see that I have a niece and a nephew that help me, but they're little. But it's certainly good enough that you will be able to read that question. If a teacher gives you this in class, no one else speaks English. Can anyone tell me what the correct answer is? Looking at this. Really think about guessing. Okay, let's talk about what we could do. 12 plus 4 is 16. 24 minus 8 is 16. 16 plus 0 is 16. 8 times 2 is 16. All of us can do the math. So we don't have a problem doing the math. The challenge is we don't know what the question's asking. So what could we do? If the teacher gave this to you and speaks to you and you don't understand, what could you do? Well, you could solve for the problems. You could actually solve for all the problems, okay? Anything else you could do on this paper? Yeah, you could maybe put your name. That looks like it might be a name. So maybe put your name and solve for each one of these equations. Okay, the teacher comes by and clearly she's not happy because you seem to have answered all the questions. So she's going to give you some, right now this is very context reduced. All we have is words, language, numbers, and there's nothing to help us. With a little bit of context, we might be able to figure this out. So, oops, sorry, I think I had to stretch this out. Our teachers come around, and in red, she's written out this in Chinese, and put this, written, oh, rats. Yeah, no, yes. And written this in Chinese, I was going to say, you can ignore me. This in Chinese, circled this and underlined this. Based on these context clues, which are not a lot, can anybody now answer the question? How am I doing on time? Okay, take a minute. Okay, take a guess. Is it the first one, the second one, the third one, or the fourth one? Okay, let's see how you did. Yeah, it says circle the math equation that shows subtraction. So what the teacher did was she wrote in Chinese addition, she wrote subtraction, and she wrote multiplication. She wrote subtraction and subtraction here. She underlined it. She put the symbol. And then this says circle. So if you were able to figure it out, you would have put circle the math equation that shows subtraction. That's the answer. So what we've done is we've put in just not a lot of context, enough context to hopefully make a student successful. This takes us to the idea of what is context. And we know that it's cues or signals to help anyone understand, let me make this bigger, what's being said. So we have context reduced versus context embedded. We have three words here that, unless you know the languages, are going to be pretty tough to understand. If you speak these languages, then of course right away you're going to recognize, and those of you who, for your shock language, I know, who was it? Thai. Gosh, Cassie, was it you who studied Thai? I think it was. And right away you're going to say, oh my gosh, I recognize Thai. With a little bit of context, we could read those words. Any guess at what those words mean? Okay, let's take a guess here. Let's see. I'm going to give you a little bit of context. Any guess? Okay, and a little bit of context. Any guess? And a little bit of context. Great, so we have sun, rain, flowers. And context makes all the difference for our students. They don't need a lot of it, but a little bit goes a long way, because right away, once I gave you the picture of sun, you felt really empowered. You thought, okay, I can understand this. This is what we're talking about, context reduced versus context embedded. How am I doing on my time? Great. Okay, so this comes to two different types of proficiencies. One is called BICS, one is called CALPS. And BICS are the skills that we have which are really superficial. It's the first skills you learn, like when you're in high school and you're taking your language or you first come, and it's the hi, how are you, how to take the bus, how to ask for the bathroom, how to get directions. And this is just basic interpersonal communication skills. And students pick up BICS pretty quickly, and we pick them up pretty quickly when we're immersed in a culture or a language. The CALPS are a lot more challenging. These are the cognitive skills, what we need for higher level thinking, to speak, read, write in a subject area in order to be successful in an academic setting. So the CALPS are the skills that we have for school. You have to be able to read the chapter. You have to write a response. You have to listen to me right now. It takes your CALPS. If we meet for coffee, you can use your BICS. But if you had to sit in my class and listen to me talk and do a response, it takes your CALPS. So for our EAL students, we have two types of proficiencies. We have to attend to their BICS, which come quickly and easily, and then their CALPS, which take years. It could take 5 to 7 years to really become proficient in your CALPS. Okay, so when you have, and this is Cummins, I have a reference here at the end of the PowerPoint. I'll put the PowerPoint up so you'll have more time to look at this. And at your own, when you have time. Right now I'm rushed because I see my 15-minute time stamp is running down. But when you have a task, you have tasks that are cognitively undemanding and cognitively demanding. So, for example, you'd have coloring a picture would be cognitively undemanding. Writing an essay, cognitively demanding. If it's context embedded, then what we have is we have tasks that are context embedded and cognitively demanding are easier for our students to become proficient because we have both context and context along with the cognitively challenging activity. When it's context reduced and cognitively demanding, this is really what becomes tough for our students. So when we think about different types of activities, do I have activities for you? Let's say, for example, writing an essay that's very little context and very demanding, it would be in quadrant D. Filling out a graphic organizer, that's still cognitively demanding, but it's context embedded. We put it over here in C. So let's see if I have, did I put these in here? So I'm going to give you a few examples. So picture book and texting, both are undemanding for our students. One is context reduced, texting is just letters, but you know, you have an idea of what you're going to expect and what you receive. Then we have talking about the weather and email. PE class. So our students who have low proficiency, they can talk about the weather, they can look at a picture book, they can go in gym class. Oops, my timer's going. And then we have undemanding items that they can do because, you know, it doesn't take a lot of proficiency, even though they're context reduced. Now, let's go into the cognitively demanding activities and look at the difference. A group presentation is much easier than a chapter test. The group presentation is context embedded. You're talking, you're sharing, you have manipulatives, you can show things, you can do charts, you can work, and you can talk. Chapter test, you just have yourself and your language. The experiment versus the essay. If a student has to learn about, I don't know, what do we learn about? Science, like the flower sucking up the color and sucking up water in the stem. It's easier if he or she can put that carnation in the green ink and it pulls it up versus writing an essay about it. I'm going to run out of time here. role play versus reading a novel. So in our teaching, we want to shoot for cognitively demanding but context embedded teaching. Okay, review this by yourself. See